All right, guys. So welcome to this little section that I'm doing here in relation to the midterm activity so that we can get an idea of what's going on. So I'm going to present now and show you what's going on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is your e-classroom. Are you guys seeing this? I need some feedback to let me know, okay?
Yes, sir.
Great. So the first thing that you're going to see here is that besides these items that are still open here, a new one is opened up with the mid-semester assessment activity. When you click on this, it's going to take you to, oh crap, I don't know why it's doing this. All right, so it's going to take you to download the midterm PDF for you to have there to work with. But I'm not going to download it here because I already have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that document for you guys so that we could go through the questions that we're looking at. I have that in materials. Right, exercise here. Okay, so let me make it a little bit bigger. And I expect that you guys will be asking questions in relation to this. So that you can get clarification on what is required for the thing. So again, it used to be an exam that was done in class, but now it's a take-home exercise that I've redesigned a little bit, so it's a little more thing. So the first thing that we're going to see is it's made up of 3 questions. You have to answer all of them, and well, there's no word limit on it, and you'll see why in a little bit. Now, it says write your name and ID on top of each page used. That's because I forgot to take this off. What you're doing is you are submitting your assignment with a title page and all the regular requirements for online submission. So a title page, if you start to exceed 4 pages, you need to put in a table of contents. Number the questions so that I'll know where each question is. I mean, you'll understand that. And when you are saving the file, use this format. For me, it'll be your name followed by the title of the assignment. So in this case here, it's the mid-semester evaluation or mid-semester assignment, and your CRN. Now the CRN for your class is 19383. So try and remember that. So that information helps me to be able to separate your work, and of course you're going to submit it into the e-classroom on that in this slot here that we were just looking at. You'd make your submissions here, all right, when you're ready to upload your document. So let's look at the questions that you're going to be responding to. Okay, any questions so far about the content? It is marked out of 65, but it counts for 20% of your assessment, 20% of your final grade. Okay, so let's look at the questions. So question 1, list the 5 stages of group development and briefly describe your experiences with each. So you'd realize that although you're going to be using the stages that we talked about, you really have to describe those stages as from the position of your experience with it. Now you can use current experience as well as past experience, meaning whatever happened in this class, you can utilize as stimulus to respond to the question, as to other questions that you might have, or other experiences that you would have had. Now it's 2 marks for each. You all remember that, right? That's forming, storming, norming. You all familiar with that? You all remember that, right? Yes? No? Not sure?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the part B of question 1 is outline what you've done in the past to deal with group issues and conflict and compare them to the recommendations from the text in dealing with group conflict. What might you do differently in the future? So this is, again, reflect on what took place in the past and look at what the text content of the chapter recommended about handling conflict or dealing with conflict, and then use your own reflections to say, has there been a change in how you're thinking and that type of stuff? All right, so far so good. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the next question here for 2 marks is going to be based upon the chapter in terms of the ethical leadership. This is chapter 6. Um, it's just simple. This is a simple question here. Explain what is ethical leadership, or what ethical leadership is, for 2 marks. That's basically, what's in the text, and add your own small explanations in relation to that. Um, Reflect on any three of the assumptions that are utilized in the ethical leadership model, and give your thoughts as to their relevance to your concept of leadership in today's world, supporting your response with current examples of leadership behavior around us today. So that's for 8 marks. So there are three items we're looking for you to discuss, but we also want you to add in your own thoughts and ideas based upon current examples of leadership that's going on around us. So that's 8 marks. So that's 8 + 2. That's 10. So now we come to the big question. This is the one that tends to have some problems in terms of the way in which people. This question counts for 40% of the marks in this paper. And again, you're going back to the question on the chapter, in chapter 6, and you're looking at, think of an ethical dilemma you're faced or somehow involved with. Work through that dilemma using the ethical decision making models identified by Kidder. You'll remember Kidder and the Kidder model in chapter 6. And you're going to use the following rubric to guide how you're going to answer. You're starting off here for 2 marks, defining what is an ethical dilemma. Then you're going to list and describe the 4 ethical dilemma types or paradigms. That's for 8 marks. You all remember those? What are the ethical dilemma paradigms? Anybody? What about the group that presented it? Silence. Some people in a dilemma here, boy. All right. That'll be things like short term versus long term, individual versus community. Sounding familiar, guys? Okay. Doesn't sound familiar. Okay. And then you go to the describe the 3 ethical decision making models that Kidder put out. Now, so there are other models, huh? But the one that Kidder recognized spoke to the concepts of rules-based thinking, ends-based thinking, and care-based thinking. You all remember that? Kind of. All right, so that means you'll have to go and revise the chapter. And of course, the presentation that was done on the chapter is available online as well. So you could go and look at that. Now, identify and adequately describe your personal dilemma for 6 marks. So you have to now reflect on your experience and look at what type of dilemmas, or once you understand what the dilemma is, you've been involved with, and then analyze how you resolve your dilemma in the light of the principles that you have identified above. So work through that dilemma, write about it, reflect on it, and how does it relate, or does it link back to the theory of Kidder's model? And what was it? Was it a individual versus common community? Was it a short term versus long term? What were the things you were looking at? So that's how you're going to be critiquing it. All right. Would you modify your decision in light of the information that you have now? And why would you do that? So now this is a value judgment we're asking you to write here. 2 marks for citation. Because you're doing this as a take-home assignment, you might require to do citation, and the citation style is the APA style. Everybody's familiar with that style of citation?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're looking for 2 elements. There's in-text citation as well as the citation list. Okay, and then I'm looking at 10 marks for the use of language. That's your grammar, spelling, punctuation, and so on. And the organization of the paper, which is the layout and how you did your title page and having all your work organized. So that's 10 marks. All right, so that's the instructions. That's the 3 questions that you're going to be dealing with. Hold a second. A bit. All right, so those are the 3 questions you're going to be dealing with, and you're going to be treating with this as a project. I would say you should probably take about 2 weeks and get this knocked off and submitted. All right. Anybody has any questions about any questions about the instructions thus far? No? Anybody needs any clarification? Sorry. Who's that?
Oh, I said no questions, sir.
Yes, sorry. No questions?
No, sir.
Everybody's clear. They understand what they have to do.
Yes.
All right. So if you all are clear on that, I'm going to pause this little piece of recording because I'm going to put this up for people who weren't here so that they would have instructions based on that. Okay.